we didn't do as well as we expected. And I get the sense, I now understand what it feels like when you go to some of your AGMs with bad news. The recently held elections have made their point. We need to have the foresight and humility to accept the messages being expressed to us without resorting to the usual excuses. A political party's strength lies in the voice of those it represents. We will listen to those voices. The Congress Party has long prided itself in this very ability and has used it to rise from adversity time and time again. We will renew ourselves and will fight strong and confident in order to protect the values of tolerance and compassion that are the essence of India. You are the stakeholders of the Congress Party, and our bonds with you go back a long, long time. They go back to 1931, when Mahatma Gandhi, our leader, addressed FICCI at your 4th annual general meeting. We have charted the growth of our nation side by side. You understand the global economic environment well. Listening to your voice and heeding it is imperative. Over the last few months, many of you have spared time to come and meet with me. You've discussed your views with me, and for this, I'm very grateful. I'm in complete agreement with the need for the regulatory system to be rapidly and radically organized. Frankly, there are absolutely no excuses for the length of time required to clear some of these projects. You struggle in your work, and it is not acceptable that projects take long periods of time to be passed. We're a fast-moving economy. We cannot allow you to be held back by slow decision-making. Accountability has to be clear, it has to be fixed, and it has to be time-bound. The Cabinet Committee on Investment and the Project Monitoring Group are a recognition of the need to speed up these clearances. Some 300 projects with an investment of over 5 lakh crores, about 5% of GDP, have been cleared. Sectors affected by delays in clearances, such as power, petroleum, and mining, have been the biggest beneficiaries of this focused approach. Of course, many projects are still stuck, some for good reason, and some for no good reason at all. However, much of the information about these cleared projects remains obscured from the public domain. Unfortunately, good news about this government doesn't seem to sell newspapers these days. Many of you expressed your frustration with environmental clearances that are delaying projects unduly. There is excessive administrative and judicial discretion. The loopholes are so big that you can drive a truck through some of them. Environmental and social damage must be avoided, but decisions must also be transparent, timely, and fair. Accessing land is difficult, and it's time-consuming. It's a struggle. The black market in land has got to go. We need to build a robust and open real PV. The idea is to obtain all clearances before auctioning projects to private players. This is a powerful and innovative idea. The biggest issue today is corruption. And corruption is bleeding our people dry. It is an unacceptable burden on the people of our nation. We must fight corruption with all our strength, all our determination. Recently, we have been able to ensure that convicted criminals are kept out of parliament. I also got to learn a lesson. I learned that it is not polite to ask for ordinances to be torn up and thrown into the dustbin. This week we took a huge step, a massive step. We passed the Lokpal Bill. But as I have said on numerous occasions, this is not about one bill. It is about providing this country an entire framework to fight corruption. The Congress Party has developed this framework. It is in Parliament. It is waiting to be passed in Parliament. And it has been waiting to be passed in Parliament for some time now. There are a number of bills. There are a number of revolutionary bills that would seriously impact corruption in this country. I'm going to tell you about two of them. The amendment to the Prevention of Corruption Act will protect honest officers, officers who today are crushed. It will protect honest officers and be much more effective against those who are corrupt. And my personal favorite, what I call the RTI of governance, the Grievance Redressal Bill. This will ensure that every citizen has the right to timely delivery of goods and services by their government. It includes a mechanism to redress their grievances in the event of any lapse. This bill has the potential to completely transform how our government interfaces with our people. Now, I've said this many times. These bills are sitting in Parliament. The framework is sitting in Parliament. We have provided it. We got together to pass the Lokpal Bill. We can get together to pass these other bills. And this will be a massive step against corruption in this country. It will be transformatory. Our government gets a lot of criticism. But I want to point out one thing, that our government has done more to combat corruption than any other government. The single biggest step, transformatory step that we took, called the right to information, which gave power to people, gave them information, is what has transformed the entire landscape. It has completely changed the discussion in government and in the country. Transparent has opened us to scrutiny. I'm proud to say that the RTI has shown all concerned the writing on the wall. And in some cases, it has shown them the wall of Tihar jail. I would now like to talk to you about some key policy areas. We desperately need a better knowledge and innovation system. We need you to increase investment in education and R&D. Most importantly, we need to rid ourselves of the idea that academia and industry are separate silos. We need to drastically upgrade the skill level of our people and simplify all our processes. India has the brightest youngsters in the world. But let me be blunt. Our education system does not do them justice. There's been a massive scaling up of investment in education and training. But we need to do much more. This is the land that produced Buddha, Kabir, Tagore, and Ramanujan. We have to produce many more world-class scientists, artists, and philosophers. Over the last decade, we have achieved the fastest economic growth in the history of our country. Despite global headwinds, Indian industry has sustained growth because of the energy of our business community. The political stability and rational policy environment provided by our governments also made this possible. We believe that economic prosperity must include every single person. Poverty is neither befitting of human dignity, nor is it conducive to good business. I would like to state clearly, and I've said it earlier in a meeting, I would like to state clearly that poverty cannot be fought without growth. You absolutely 100% need growth to fight poverty. There is absolutely no confusion in my mind about this. India is a system, there is a business engine, and there are people. You have to empower the business engine, and you have to empower the people. It is a partnership. Maintaining robust growth has enabled the UPA government to invest in people. In 10 years, and this is a huge achievement which is not spoken about much, but in 10 years, almost a third of India's poor people have come out of poverty. They have risen above the poverty line. Now, there is a view that our investments in food security employment guarantee, and rural development are a drag on economic growth. I don't believe that there is such a trade-off. I don't believe there is a trade-off between investments in the social sector and in economic growth. For me, it is today's investments in people that create tomorrow's markets. And it is today's markets that allow us to invest in our people's futures. A mindset revolution is the fuel for economic growth. Today, self-help groups have shattered the hold of moneylenders. They have enabled millions of women to seek credit to finance their aspirations. They are the new age customers for our banks. Women now believe that credit is their right, and they see it as an opportunity. Such mindset changes are the results of years of sustained political effort, years of investment in people, in their education, in their health, in rural infrastructure, and in job creation. The most important thing that we have to do is to create fulfilling and rewarding jobs for our youngsters. We have this huge energy, and we have to get them connected to the global market. Those who are poor, those who belong to the middle class, and those among the 700 million people who are above the poverty line but below the middle class threshold. These are the craftsmen who build this country. We need to connect them to the global markets. India must become the global leader in manufacturing. This has to be one of our core missions. Let's target growing the manufacturing sector to 25% of GDP, generating 100 million new jobs in the next decade. I sincerely believe that we can do this. We're a young country, we can do this. The dramatic improvement we need in productivity demands that we provide the right enabling environment. This will require the political will to take difficult decisions. Difficult decisions on labor laws. Old labor laws have forced businesses to use contract labor. As you know, they are often underpaid and unprotected. India needs a modern and flexible labor market where labor has a fair share and is protected by international labor standards. We must reform the power sector and ensure that businesses have reliable and affordable access to power. While absorbing the latest technologies from around the world, Indian manufacturing must also be built on Indian patents. We have to open up our manufacturing sector and foster competition. The industrial corridors, Delhi-Mumbai, Mumbai-Bangalore, Bangalore-Chennai, and Ludhiana-Kolkata, will revolutionize high value-added manufacturing and provide millions of jobs to our youngsters. Agriculture is an equally high priority. We are on the threshold of a second green revolution. Price realization and improved productivity have raised farm wages significantly in the last decade. We have made greater investments in critical areas such as micronutrients, micro-irrigation, satellite weather forecasting, and access to affordable credit to farmers. We're sitting on the threshold. Our efforts to raise productivity and farm income will continue unabated. High inflation on the back of high food prices is an immediate concern. It has stretched household budgets and constrained industrial growth, and it hurts our people. And it hurts them every single day. Beating inflation is our top priority. We must crack down on hoarding and profiteering. We must ease infrastructure bottlenecks and rapidly modernize the supply chain from field to plate. Now, a little bit about politics. Around the time Mahatma Gandhi was making his address to FICCI in 1931, the dark shadows of fascism had begun to spread over Europe. A party built on a divisive ideology, full of hatred, arrogance, and misguided notions of superiority, plunged the world into a war that brought Germany to its knees. Millions of people were killed and communities impoverished. Businesses were destroyed. What our people understood intuitively, but the Europeans of 1930 did not, was that wealth cannot be constructed on poverty. Peace cannot be constructed on hatred. And societies cannot be built on injustice. And this is something fundamental that we in the Congress Party understand. India's democracy has never ever been more vibrant. What will India look like when she celebrates her 100th birthday? Our vision for India is of a country whose economy would be the largest in the world, second to nobody. Our vision is also of an India which would have deepened its democracy to the grassroots. A democracy where every citizen would have voice in government, where power would have been devolved to the lowest levels, to elected bodies. An India where every political party would be truly representative and truly democratic. But above all, our vision is of an India united by compassion, not power. An India living in harmony, not in hatred. Thriving in peace rather than suffocating in conflict. Filled with humility, not with hubris. Where poverty has been confined to the dustbin of history. An India where government serves the people rather than people serve the government. The central mission of the Congress was defined by Gandhiji as the industrial progress and prosperity of India. The Congress mission is anchored in a very simple idea. It is not a new idea. It is an ancient Indian idea. An idea where humanity is united in love, in compassion, and harmony. And in this great, great country of ours, it has always and always will trump hatred. Thank you.